What is up, everybody? Matt with Mikey Designs here. In today's tutorial, we're going to show you how to separate spot process art using Separation Studio. Stick around, we'll show you how it's done. Welcome back, everybody. We have a job that we're going to use Separation Studio to do our separations with. And let me show you the design that we are working with. Let me go over to my t-shirt jobs folder where the love is. And let's take a look. I believe this is the file right here. Okay, so this is going to be our back print. Our front print is pretty simple, 3 colors. But because this does have these gradients and this drop shadow here, we're going to use Separation Studio to separate our artwork. So let's go ahead and open this up in Photoshop. Just give it one moment. It's not the fastest computer on the face of the planet. Okay, and so here is our art file. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit just C on the keyboard. I'm going to crop this down and get rid of all the black that we really don't need. This is going on a black t-shirt. So essentially we're going to use the black t-shirt as our basis to somewhat reverse the art out of the design, and we'll show you how this works. So now what I did is I hit Command Option I. On a PC it would be Control Option I, but let me do the non-shortcut. You should learn your shortcuts, but for those of you that are new, we're going to go to Image and then Image Size. And I know I want this to be 12 inches wide. And we're going to leave it at 300 dpi. So we are resing this up. This isn't necessarily an ideal image, but this is what they have to work with. So we're going to go ahead and res that up. Now if you use your zoom glass here and double click on it, you'll see it's still pretty crisp. So I think this is a decent file to work with for screen printing. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to levels. Generally I would hit Command L, or you can go to Image, Adjustments, and Levels. And we're going to take our black selector and select the black. Take our white selector and select the white. And what that is doing is just basically making sure our black is a true black and our white is a true white. So now the next thing that we are going to do, looking at this image, because the black that is here, generally what I would do is this would be the t-shirt that's going to show through, but because this font is pretty tiny, if it were a bolder font I would just let it stand, but I'm going to go ahead and make a separate black screen for this to overprint on top of this white, just to make sure if your registration is not 100% spot on, this could be really hard to read. So we're going to do a black overprint just to make sure this shows up nice and clean. So I'm going to go over here to my layers. I'm going to drag it to the little new icon, so that basically just cloned it off. And so I'm going to turn my background off. And let's just make it a regular layer for now. Okay, we're going to turn this one off. So we have our cloned background. Let's just call this black. So what I'm going to do at this point is take my magic wand tool, and I'm going to select all this black, because so essentially what I'm doing here is I'm getting rid of this black background because I do not want to print a big, large black square. So I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of that. But before I do that, you'll see that it did select a couple of the characters. We got the Y that's selected, the T, and what should be an H here. And it looks like that's about it. So I'm going to zoom in and use my selection tool and hold Option down so that way I can take away from this selection. And now it is going to print that Y. We're going to go down here to the T and the H. I'm going to zoom in. And in order to zoom in, the quick commands that I'm using is just Command and Option. Excuse me, Command and the space bar. And you can hold Option to zoom out. Okay, so we've gotten rid of that selection, and I'm going to delete this background by just hitting the delete button. And I'm going to deselect this, Command D, PC users, Control D. And so now it looks like we have a pretty great basis for our black. Now I'm going to hit Command Shift S or Save As, and we're going to save this as a TIFF. We are in RGB mode. I always recommend when using Separation Studio you keep it in RGB mode. So I just did the quick keyboard selection there again, but let me show you Save As. And we're just going to go ahead and save this as a TIFF. I'm going to remove my layers, and let's just call this, let's see, where is the love? And I'm going to save this within my project folder here. We're going to save it as a TIFF. And in this case, I'm going to save the transparency so that way this doesn't end up being white, which it kind of really doesn't matter because you're just importing black, but I'm going to keep my transparency anyways. Okay, now that we have that saved, we have our basis art here, and this looks great. We're going to go ahead and just save this as a TIFF, Save As. You can go to File, Save As, but I'm going to use my quick key commands. And let's just call this Where is the love? Right? Where is the love? Okay, so I'm just going to save this as a TIFF. We don't need to save the layers. Let's just go ahead and save that. Actually, let's see, what did I do here? I don't believe that I saved this as black. So let's just call this our base. And I'll go back and edit the other files. That way it says black. Okay, let's go ahead and save that. Let me go back to my file. This is our black, so let me just relabel that real quick. Okay, so now this is labeled black, and we have our base, which we can probably just get rid of that anyways. So here's our base file that we're going to work off of. So we're going to go over to Separation Studio. We'll hit Command O for open. You can go to File, Open, if you'd like to go that route. Excuse me. So now we're going to open up our file and bring it into Separation Studio. Once we have this file open, because this is a pretty simple print, you'll see that there is a lot of information on the underbase, the red, the gray, and the white. So that's all we're really going to need. You click on turquoise and all these other colors, there is no information there. You can even right click, select View as Film, and there's just nothing there to work with. So we're going to go back to View as Ink. Let's make sure that did its thing. Okay, so here's our proof. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the turquoise. I'm going to right click and then just delete this channel. I'm going to go through and do that for each one of these colors that we just really do not need, because there's nothing there for us to print. Okay, so now we're left with our white underbase, red, gray, and then our white top. So we are going to have two separate screens for white, and I do recommend doing this especially when you have a gradient kind of gradual tone and we're using black. Our t-shirt's going to be black, so it's going to show through here, and you'll see our ground color is black. That's going to be our shirt. Now before we move on, one of the things that I do like to do, so that way this will be a nice bright white. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to scroll over what would be our white base, and you can see up here in the right hand corner for under base it says 78%. I really want that, personally I want that to be 100% white, so that way we have a nice bright white. So we have 78% here. We're looking at boosting this 22% just to make it a nice 100% white underbase. So I'm going to right click on the underbase channel. I'm going to hit adjust channel, and I'm going to boost this by 22. And now once we move our mouse over the white area, you'll see up here towards the right hand side it is now reading 100%, and so that is what we want. That's what I want, at least just to make this a nice bright white. We're going to click on the red just to make sure this is 100%. It's reading out 98%. So I'm going to right click on the red, adjust the channel, and I'm going to add 2. So now it's 100%. You can see over here that it is 100%. For the gray, we're just going to leave it as is. Let's take a look at our white top. Okay, our white top is saying 100%, so I think we're looking pretty good. Now I'm going to go ahead and add this black. We're going to use detailed, and we're going to find our file that we just created. And here we are. So now it's going to go ahead and create a black channel, so that way we are able to overprint this black on top of it. Now you're not going to be able to see it because we're printing if basically the proof positive preview here, you're not going to see black on top of black. So what you have to do is click on your black detailed, right click, view as film. So this is going to print all this black copy here. Generally I would have just gotten rid of this shadow as well, but part of the problem is you see the shadow kind of bleeds into this information here, so I think it will work absolutely fine. So now we're all set. We're going to go to File, Save As. If you want to do your quick keys, that will be fine. Command Shift S or Control Shift S. And we're going to find our file in our t-shirt job folder. And this is going to save it as an EPS. So where is the love? Alright, saving our EPS file. Next thing I'm going to do, because I prefer to do my output, you're really going to need Illustrator for this that way, and you'll see here in a moment why that is. And I'm going to go over to my templates, and by the way guys, you can get this t-shirt registration template for free on our website. We'll include a link in the description. This is something that we just give away for free to help you guys out there. And we are excuse me, we are on our art layer. The rest of our layers have our center marks and our registration marks. So we're on our art layer, and we're going to go to File and Place. Let's go find our EPS file in our job folder. And now it's reading the file and it's bringing in every single one of those spot colors that you just saw within Separation Studio. So I'm just going to click and place that on our artboard. And I'm going to use my alignment tool just to make sure it's nice and centered on the artboard. I do have this ruler here generally that is kind of my basis for prints where I like to start out, and I can kind of adjust it on press. So now if you look over here in our swatch palette, you'll see we have a white base, black, red, gray, and white. While I'm on press, I will more than likely just do the black as either, I'll probably just use it as my last print rather than printing that second. But we'll see. Once we get on press, I'll figure that out, see how it's looking. But I'm kind of wanting it as an overprint. So we are all set. Next thing we're going to do is file and print. I'm going to hit Command P. You can go to file and print. Command P. Control P for you PC users out there. Now that I hit Command Print, when I go to Output, you'll see that we have our white underbase, our red, our gray, our white, and our black detail. So I'm going to go ahead and print that out of Illustrator through our AccuRip software. And the mesh screens that I am going to use is a 230 mesh. I do believe I probably might use a 156 mesh for the base just to make sure it's a nice bright white. And because I'm considering using a 156 mesh, we're going to go to our configure halftones here, and we're just going to make that 42 because that will hold pretty well on a 156 mesh. And we're going to hit OK. And so how I got to that is this little corner up here. This is AccuRip Black Pearl, excuse me. And then I hit Edit Configuration, and we're going to use a round dot 42 LPI. Okay, we're all set. I'm going to go ahead and let that rip out. We've got our film outputting, and it is laying down those beautiful halftones. And a little bit of a tip, when you are outputting your film, be sure to include the page information. That way every single color that you are outputting will be set on the top of each piece of film that you're outputting. And we are back! I got Shannon the shop gnome going rogue on the camera. And so here is the job all set up. We're putting down our white base, giving it a couple hits. And I kind of doing the order of these, not necessarily how I separated them out. With screen printing, it's kind of like art. You kind of do it however you want to, really. Like Bob Ross. You don't really make mistakes. They're just happy coincidences. I think, is that what it, oh, no, accidents. Excuse me, happy accidents. Alright, so we got one more shirt to do with the white base. And then what we're going to do next, and I'm flashing the white base. So we're going to do our white top next, and I'll show you why. And the reason being is we're using our black to trap these really kind of this thin font, trying to line up two whites with a font as thin as that. Some of the ink does tend to bleed out, and we'll close it up a little bit. So after we do our white, what technically would be the white top, but we're doing it second. we're going to do our black, our red, and then our gray. And we'll show you why we're using 2 whites, a black, a gray, and a red. Okay, so now we're moving on to our black. So that way we can trap these letters here. I'm going to step to the side a little bit so this isn't over flashing. We're going to do our red next. We're printing these wet on wet, these last 3 colors. We're going to put down our gray. Now if you come in a little closer, you'll see one of the reasons for the gray is some of these areas here, so that way they don't disappear. And you're printing the gray on top of the black, so that way you're not really losing that transition. You get a nice smooth gradient going on.
And it has cookies.
That's right. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We hope this video was helpful.
I don't want this video to be helpful. I'm so kidding.
If you have any questions, leave them in the comment box. And we'll see you next time.
Bye. Bye.